And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we're going to be looking at the key takeaways from yesterday's win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're also going to be looking at some keys for this upcoming game against the Detroit Lions as the Washington Commanders get ready to take on the Lions in the divisional round of the playoffs. And so let's start with the key takeaways from yesterday's game. And I think that you start with the time of possession for the Washington Commanders as they win in that category 35-26 to 24-34. And I think that when you see the Washington Commanders win the time of possession battle, I think that that goes with the identity of this football team. And really, it just lets the Washington Commanders keep your defense on the field chasing, and it wears down a defense. And I think that the Washington Commanders are able to wear down opposing defenses, and then we're able to make the critical plays to win these games on the offensive side of the ball. And so that was terrific to see with the Washington Commanders. And you really got a chance to see how this offense operates in clutch time. If you look at that last drive with 4:41 to go, the Washington Commanders go all the way down to get the game-winning field goal. And Baker Mayfield had to sit on the sidelines. And so that is a key in winning the time of possession, because you're going to be going against elite quarterbacks, from here on out in the playoffs. And so one of the best defenses is keeping them on the sidelines. And so that is exactly what the Washington Commanders did. And I think that that is key takeaway number one. Now, key takeaway number two for the Washington Commanders is just the aggressive nature that they came out with. We know that this team is an aggressive football team, and they definitely were aggressive in this game. They were 3 of 5 in their fourth down conversions. And I think that by being this aggressive, it really sent a message, to I think just the entire football team, that they were locked in and they weren't there to compete. They were absolutely there to win, because look, the Washington Commanders could have just gone off and kicked a early field goal to tie this game up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I think with Dan Quinn going for it, even though the Washington Commanders did not convert, it instills more confidence into this football team, and it continues to build. And so I think that this was great. I think that this was terrific. And I think that this is something that the Washington Commanders absolutely need to keep doing as they go along. You need to keep setting that tempo of just, we're going for it. And so I loved that decision for the Washington Commanders, and really being gutsy like this and continuing to go for it. And it paid off for the Commanders when they needed it. Next up, defensively. And so I want to give the defense its credit. And so starting with the secondary, you see that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers only had 183 yards. Mike Evans had 92 of those yards and 7 receptions and a touchdown. Marshawn Lattimore was on him. And I still think that it was a battle between those two, even though Mike Evans, won in those matchups. But I still liked what I saw from Marshawn Lattimore. I liked his physicality. And I think that he fought Mike Evans and really kind of made it tough, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When you look at this, 183 yards, 92 of those to Mike Evans. That it shows me that the rest of the secondary was really locked in, and it just made it tough for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go other places. And so great team defense in the secondary out there. And I love the guts that I saw from Marshawn Lattimore. And I anticipate that he's going to get even better as he moves forward into this next week. He gets another week, more reps and things like that. And so hopefully he's able to get even some more timing and things back. And I think that that is going to still be a plus for the secondary. And so next up, just with what we were able to do as far as stopping the run for the most part, because I know Bucky Irvin had 77 yards on 17 carries here, and he did gash us at times, but still, 101 yards. I think that that is still pretty respectable defensively. And I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers probably wanted to lean a bit more on Bucky Irvin. And I think he had a slow start for the most part. I think that there were several times where our defense was able to really meet him at the point of attack. I think that we did a terrific job as far as, getting up to him before he got started, because we talked about how he can accumulate yards after contact. And so I think that the Washington Commanders made it difficult for him to run the football. And so I think that that was a plus. And so I think that that's a key takeaway, and definitely something that the Commanders can take and build upon, because Defensively, they did what they had to do, and they got the lone turnover of the game, stealing a possession back to their offense, which ultimately was really, I think, the difference for the Washington Commanders winning this football game. And so, next up, got to give credit to the offensive line because the offensive line only gave up one sack. We knew that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a team that likes to blitz a lot. And so I think that our offensive line did a terrific job as far as making adjustments, even though, Jaden Daniels, still had to extend plays and things like that. I think that they did a great job as far as making sure we didn't have any miscues and things like that. And so I really think that the offensive line did a terrific job. And so next with just individual plays, and I think the final key takeaway out of this for me is that Austin Eckler, I think, is going to be really huge for this team. He had about 53 combined yards. And I think that Austin Eckler really came in for B-Rob, Brian Robinson Jr., and I think he played well. I think that he did a great job as far as continuing to really keep the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on their heels because I think he did a great job with the short passes. I talked about how he made a critical catch and run in that fourth quarter on the last drive, which set us up to get into field goal range. And I think that Austin Eckler and his role is going to grow even more as we continue on into the playoffs. And I think that Zach Ertz as well, those players are going to be huge. And they almost really help to, I think, attack the middle and second level of defenses. And so I think that that is where you're going to see some absolute great play from them. Austin Eckler, we knew he could do that with the Chargers. And I still think him matched up on linebackers, I still think the Washington Commanders have an advantage there. And I also think you still have an advantage with Zach Ertz as well, if he's matched up against linebackers and things like that. And so I think that that is a win-win situation. And as far as our X factor, I've got to throw it out there one more time. I think that Giammi Brown played terrific. We know that we need somebody else to step up with Terry McLaurin, who had a fabulous game. But those players, I think, are huge for the Commanders. And I think that those are really some key takeaways for us. And so next up, I wanted to talk and look at really some keys that we should look out for in this upcoming game against the Detroit Lions. And we are going to talk some more extensively about this game as it moves closer. By the way, the Washington Commanders are set to, I believe, play the Detroit Lions the last game on Saturday. So that's going to be good. They got the primetime game on Saturday. So with the Detroit Lions, I think initially the first real key takeaway that I see out of this is that the Detroit Lions, they're a team that likes to blitz a lot. So that is something that is very similar, I think, to what we just saw with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In fact, the Lions have blitzed about 42% of the time, which is the highest rate in the NFL. And so they're definitely going to have a lot of blitz packages and things like that. And so the great thing is Jaden Daniels has proven that, he can stay poised, composed, and still make those decisions down the field. And so we know that that is going to come, and he's already saw that. But next, you get something that is a little similar to maybe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers situation because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, as far as their secondary rank coming in, was 29th. The Lions' secondary rank is 30th. And much like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they have a lot of injuries. They have, Hutchinson, who's been out. They have Carlton Davis III. He had been injured. And so they've had a various amount of injuries to their defense. And so I think that is really played like a role in kind of the Lions defense down the stretch. And when you look at the last game that they played, they beat the 49ers 40-34 in that game, but they gave up 475 total yards. And so that is something that is, I think, going to be very interesting moving forward in this game. And I think that, again, you're seeing something that's very similar to what you saw with the Bucs because the Lions are actually coming in with the fourth best running defense. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had the fifth best running defense. And then when you look at the passing defense, The Buccaneers have the 29th, and then the Lions have the 30th. And so this is where it becomes very interesting. And this is an initial stats to really look forward to, and kind of some of the keys going into this game initially. But we'll talk a little bit more about this game again as this game moves forward. So once again, the Washington Commanders are moving on to the divisional round of the playoffs. Super excited to see. I think it is going to be a fabulous football game against the Detroit Lions. I think that the mentality of both these football teams, I think they mirror each other. With that toughness, that anywhere, any place type of mentality, and you're going to see some aggressive football. I think on both sides of the ball. I think that the Lions, they're a team that's going to be going for it on fourth down. I could expect for the Washington Commanders to continue that. And I think that has really been huge for both of these franchises, and really kind of just getting back to this type of winning football for both teams. And so anyway, it's going to be a great game. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking about this recent news with the Washington Commanders winning and getting to the divisional round. I will see you guys on the next one. Go Commanders. All right. Peace.